Says I'm going live. Public. Visibility, public. Quit. And we're live. I don't know. We had some kind of false start on that, and I have no idea what it is. Morning, folks. Tony Caravan here. Let's try that again.
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
I had this thing I tried setting up the other day, and I don't know if you can see that team leader. Yeah, I've got my old Cappy Dick hat on. So I've set up this thing, all right, that will give me freedom to put titles up and such the like. And it seems to have overridden this morning's video. So I don't know if this is going to be one of those things that looks like a Lionel video where he's there like, hey, what's going on? When's it going to start? Is this thing live? Are we live yet? Give me a break, you know? After all that, you know.
We'll have to remodulate our signal to match the network's interlink frequency.
Well, I'm trying my best to do it, but the question is it going to work? They're singing songs of love, but not for me. That was like kind of the theme of yesterday's video, I think, for some people. It wasn't that bad. It was just a, brutally honest thingamajig. So, no magic. Just the usual nonsense. So, let's take a look at the weekend weather. Remember, it's Memorial Day weekend, and it's 46 degrees outside of the studio. The ship, actually. And the high today is going to be 55, so they say. And the low tonight has just been pushed back to 43 degrees. 43 degrees. Like I say, it's great lettuce weather, but not so much for tomatoes and peppers and squash and stuff like that. And I'm sure all those birds are all huddling up together right now. But Monday, Memorial Day, is going to be 72 degrees and overnight 52. And from there on in, it looks like we're in the 70s and the nights are in the 50s and the 60s. So, which should be the case because after that, it is June after all. Today's May 30th, the calendar year 2021 in the former United States of America. And that's the weekend weather. Glad you could join us today. I hope you're having a good morning.
Okay.
Yeah, she always is having a good time. Anyway, let's get rid of that and let's review our card that hopefully you're seeing. And it says the morning show, and you can see World Economic Forum in the background, and that is Xi, the dictator of the communist Chinese, I don't know what you would call it, And I have the International World Crime Syndicate. And I guess International World, it's like one or the other, but it was too late to change it, so I just let it fly. And for the average functionally illiterate person, I think the point comes across. And as we usually do, let's go look at the title card, and then we're going to see the thing that says show below. And again, for those who are watching this on a smart TV or some kind of device like that, set-top box, you might not be able to see the description. Tony Caravan Live, 5/30/21. It's only just begun. And certainly this isn't going to be a Carpenter song. When a communist dictator who oppresses 1.5 billion people and is responsible for the crimes against humanity is accepted by the World Economic Forum and the U.S. State Department / White House, you got to ask yourself, is the former U.S. a corporatocracy ruled by an international crime syndicate? Or have you lost your marbles from not getting enough protein in your diet? I mean, that's about the gist of it. I still have yet to get any notification that anyone has purchased a morning show mug, a, everything you know is wrong shirt, or you don't know what you don't know, or has gone to Great Solar Stuff, bought any of my books. I'm trying to lean to show you. There's Maggie back there. Poor thing. Or the Jackery, or the No Radio, or my book, Jackery, No Radio, Codex. None of those things. And I definitely probably will be leaving the room at some point to get some more caffeine. Even though I did not imbibe yesterday. If you're interested, my diet's not going too well. I gained a pound. Thing is, I lost, I lost 5. And then I leveled off. And for some reason, my voice is almost just wants to be Henry Kissinger. You are nothing but useless eaters. I, on the other hand, am your team leader for the day. So, I'm trying to get comfortable. This shirt goes back to the Antarctica expeditions of 2008, when I used to be the guy with all that technology I created. Actually, I created it all myself. And we used to broadcast live from the Antarctica Peninsula. Well, anyway, there's new technology that I've been experimenting with. And the reason there was a false start, and it says I'm live. I didn't get a notification from YouTube or anything, but, it seems like it's live. Is because I have this new technology that can technically place a, title text here, which I can change, or I could put anywhere I want. I could have a graphic here or a graphic up here, all that kind of stuff. So it's just a matter of perfecting it. I did 3 or 4 tests yesterday, and, for someone just tuning in right now.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And we usually do this to start the show off. It's kind of just, what do they call it? Some people call it housekeeping. Housekeeping. Man, that's what I need. It's too bad I don't have comments on. The reason I don't have comments on, people might wonder. I got rid of comments because I was getting these weird, some sort of spam comment things that someone said, if you click on them, you go to some nefarious sites. So, I think it's all part of this whole idea, where I'm being, victimized, even though I'm a team leader here, and, done my share to try to get the best for everyone. Be that as it may, the same with chat. Chat is, was flaking out on me, and for some reason they were allowing it, then they weren't disallowing it. And of course, I've been disavowed. So that's a whole nother story, which I did tell somewhere back in my well over 100 of these insane sometimes morning rants.
The only station that matters.
But it's true, you know. And of course,
hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine this morning. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's freezing. It's ice cold. And I've decided to go forward. I turned up the heat, so this room should be getting better. I also noticed the past couple shows that anomaly has returned. It's like I think it's caused by some kind of, it's almost like an overmodulation thing. But I added this ridiculous limiter, you know, compressor limiter to get rid of that problem. And I'm not showing any overmodulation whatsoever. So it's on YouTube's side. And so it's a matter of like trying to get this third-party software together. I found a free one. You know, it costs no money. That's as bad as International World Crime Syndicate, you know, international and world. It's free. It costs no money. Well, cash money. Things people say. I don't know. But I thought it would be fitting that, you know, we basically play this because of the title card.
I can no longer sit back and allow communist infiltration, communist indoctrination, communist subversion, and the international communist conspiracy to sap and impurify all of our precious bodily fluids.
And I'm really wondering how they're going to get out of that. Sorry about that. I'm trying to, you know, think, excuse me, pardon me, how they're going to get out of that. You know, this 90-day redoubling of efforts with the intelligence community to get to the bottom of this, you know, thing that's unspeakable. I think it's still unspeakable. I don't know. They can speak about it now. The mainstream media can call it by name. But it's like that one guy on CNN that time was talking about like WikiLeaks or something. Now, you're not allowed to read them, but we can because we're, you know. I mean, the goofballs that people basically fall for just cracks me up. I don't know, you know. Yeah. It's beyond...
You bet your sweet Bippy.
Yeah, you bet your sweet baby is right. Or,
gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
The war room. Team leader. I'm your team leader for the day, and I'm flexing my muscles on this video. Get some points across. You know, I was thinking about this. No, I can't even I can't tell you that. I can't. I have too many stories. I have too many stories. And they all revolve around like these beautiful women. I don't know. I really don't know what to say. I just...
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Let's get on with it. As usual, this is another one of those shows that I have completely, absolutely have no preparation for whatsoever. When consecutively, I don't know, what are we up to? 115 shows. Hey, I got some... But one thing I do want to do is I have to show you I keep my, there's this song, what's her name? Gretchen Wilson or something like that. She's some country singer. Redneck Woman. Did you ever hear that song? I'm a redneck woman or something like that. And she's got this tune where she says she keeps the Christmas lights on her front porch all year long, which I do because I have solar Christmas lights. And I don't have them for sale on Great Solar Stuff. And while I think about that, I'm going to have to make a note. First, I'm going to get this mirroring started. There we go. I'm going to show you something, but I have to make a note. Concrete adhesive. I think we talked about that yesterday. Birdseed, running low, volume switch. I put a speaker in my bathroom. I also installed a phone in my bathroom. That was a nightmare too, because when I installed the phone in it's my half bath downstairs. Upstairs, I have a full bathroom. But I got tired of carrying a portable phone into the bathroom because you know that Murphy's Law, and it is Murphy's Law. I mean, it's just the way it works. You can go the whole day or all morning, phone doesn't ring. But the moment you go in the bathroom, the freaking phone rings, right? And I get tired of carrying in, a portable phone, and like, how you even going to negotiate? So anyway, I put in a wall phone, perfect reach behind the toilet sort of thing. But anyway, somehow when I was rewiring it, one of my attachments, in fact, I had it here for a little while. I think I talked about it once on a show. Was faulty, and so I had no phone for a day. Well, anyway, but I also put a speaker in there so that when I'm in my bar, which is my kitchen, like I said before, instead of people have these islands in the middle of their kitchen. Well, instead of doing something like that, I just put this wooden bar, bar top in there, and so it's a bar. And I have music on, speakers on the wall and my music system in there. And so when you go, a really good song is playing and you got to go to use the restroom, the WC, I've got a speaker in there. But the problem is I've got it connected to my main speakers from the bar. And so the volume level's really high and the WC is a small room. So I got to get some kind of volume switch so I can have that turned down just a tad so it doesn't blast you out while you're in there. Now, what was I going to write down here that I needed? See, I hate when I get on those tangents. What was I going to write down? And I don't have any chat so that you can help me. I got a pen opened, look at literally. Right? And I'm sitting here with a piece of paper. I was talking about Gretchen Wilson, Redneck Woman, Christmas lights on my yeah. So I think I might have said Xmas lights to Great Solar Stuff. Right now, if you go to Great Solar Stuff, I do have some outdoor lights that come on that are solar lights. And I've had those things out there for about 3 years so far. And they come on. If a critter or anything goes past the fence, I have them. I have one at the entranceway into my backyard. So I highly recommend getting them. And I have these solar Christmas lights that I've had up for a couple of years on my porch. And, they're kind of stapled or however I hook them up into the, around the, the columns, because I have a White House, it's like the White House of columns. And it's just a major thing to take them down, but they're still working. In fact, I'm looking, well, the sun's coming up now, but they're still dimly lit. It's 5:36 a.m. Eastern Standard Time where I'm coming from on board the mobile studio, which looks mostly like the other studio. And let's look here. Let's see if I can zoom in. See, on this thing, it looks great, but can you see? Let's see if we do it this way. It might help better. This is the other part of the room. You see those pineapple lights? There's kind of a mirror there, a clock. And somewhere down beyond, there's a cat. Or there was. I don't know if we can see him or not. He's in utter darkness. And that's my mug. Sound effects. We'll go back to that. Let's see if maybe we can see the lights on the porch. Well, not that. I'll use my one of my security cameras. In this day and age, you got to have security cameras. This is in night vision. Come on. It says connecting. Why is it taking so long? There we go. Well, no, that's not it. Camera. I hope I just didn't degrade our signal by trying to use. I think there's this thing about using 2 video cameras or something like that. You know, I'm not sure. Team leader.
Really funny. Really funny.
Yeah. Joe Pesci actually had a Christmas song out in the 90s, man, and it was over the top. Talk about triggering people, man. You just can't play that stuff. You know, that's why I'm just dying. I have this radio. I have a capability. This hat looks like it's a little bit bigger than it is, but it's just some weird thing. You know, it's just a weird optical illusion. And it looks like it's off-centered somehow, but it's not. But I have this broadcast thing. So I could actually broadcast over the air in FM. And technically, it's so low wattage that it's legal. As long as you're on a clear channel. I might have also talked about this once over the past, hundreds of episodes, briefly. And that's how clear channel got its name. It's an old radio term, clear channel. Clear channel means if your station is in a clear channel, means there's no other interference. And it's like I was talking yesterday when I was in high school. I've worked for a 50,000 watt station, and that station pretty much was in a clear channel in the surrounding areas, which meant and the stick or antenna was high atop this mountain, and so it had this, even 50,000 watts is a decent power station, all right, but it had, because it was in a clear channel and it was high, it had really good reception and more distance than you normally would get if you weren't in a clear channel. Because in a non-clear channel location, the moment you hit the, they usually have these circles on maps that show your, your area of where your station, reaches. I used to have one that showed. Yeah, whatever happened to that? Because it's one of those things I kept. It's in a box somewhere. I have to pull that out for show and tell someday. But the moment you got beyond your, limit, FCC, limit, then this other station would come in. But if we were in a clear channel, whatever. And anyway, that's how Clear Channel got its name. It's an old radio name, radio broadcaster name. But if there's a clear channel in your area, you can get these little devices. Some of them are kits. The kits are more powerful. But it's like that's the way it is. You got to build them because they're not allowed to sell them. There's some FCC regulation about that. I guess so that just, the general public isn't going to go out and get these things. But if it's a clear channel, you can broadcast your own music on your grounds, or people use them. They use them now in drive-ins if you can find a drive-in. So you just tune to a certain channel on your radio station in your car while you're watching a movie. And so if you got a good sound system in your car, you're hearing a movie, in really good quality. Instead of that, in the old days, you used to have to grab this thing that looked like a oversized barber's razor, thing they cut hair with. That's what they used to remind me of. And you'd have to like hook it to your window. And it was tinny, it was weird. Not exactly the ideal thing for something that's in like the Dolby stereo thing. Let's see if I still have that here. I thought I had that here. Let's see. I think here. Yeah, it's not exactly if you're set up for this. If the movie is this.
Tape deck alert.
Sometimes that sounds really good, but sometimes, the sound effects don't. On this new thing that I've been experimenting with, and I'm going to try to figure it out. So we may have a real crappy broadcast tomorrow or the next day. Because the only way to really test it is to actually just do a whole show with it. It just seemed like it was grainy and it wasn't as clear. And the biggest problem I was having was my mouth was out of sync. See, I can see myself right now. And like I was saying yesterday, that's part of this whole process with me is that, I was talking about relationships and, and it's the idea of being comfortable with yourself. And so it's like you're talking to yourself almost. And it's just, I don't know, there's a biofeedback thing.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
Rock Flux.
Let's get this show on the road.
Man, this is such a good show. And I have all this stuff. And it's too bad I get up so darn early. Because I can't really have guests, on the show. We got to get Tattoo back on the show. If you look on my, just sift through back in my videos, there's one of my band, the band video, the one that YouTube actually banned. It took down itself. But I was able to extract a portion of it where I had an interview with Tattoo. Well, it wasn't an interview. We were just rapping, talking. And it's pretty good. It's a good video. It's just a shorter thing. It's not that long. I don't know, maybe 10 minutes long or something like that. But, I'd like to do that, But anyway.
Weekend.
Yeah, it's the weekend. So I hope you're having a good weekend. I turned my heat up. And the idea is that, remember I said yesterday that I woke up in the middle of the night and there was a drop of water on my face. So yesterday I was able to hobble onto the bed. I told you I've had this leg problem, which seems to be on the heel, but it's a slow process. And I put like caulking. And I had a little, like putty knife. And I tried to fill in all these gaps. Just like I have these the ceiling is square with like a sound. It's like the square one foot, square foot sound type of ceiling, They're probably, what is that stuff that people get mesothelioma or whatever that thing is? They're probably not fiberglass. The other thing. I know you're saying it, but like I said, I have no communications with the outside world. The heck was that stuff? Come on. Yeah. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, that fireproof stuff that turned out to be all kinds of problems. It's like lead paint. It's like in the old houses, they were lead paint and this other stuff. And, so the lead paint, prevented, think about lead. Superman can't look through lead, but, lead also is like prevents Wi-Fi signals and spying and stuff like that, right? X-rays, right? They put the lead thing on your chest or something if you're getting a mouth X-ray or something. And the other one, and this other thing that, man, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm going to have to, let me just do a quick search here because I hate doing that. I hate just not being able to, let's see. I look up the disease. It's mesothelioma is the disease you get if you're exposed to asbestos. So they used to have houses were fireproof because they had asbestos insulation, tiling, and shingles, right? Were on a lot of houses. They were asbestos. They were fireproof. I know I grew up, we had asbestos shingles. And, this is 100-year-old house. So I'm sure much of the paint, and this did this weird thing. Let's see if we get some light back by doing this. We get light? Coloring back, please. Makeup, wardrobe, lighting, gaffers, best boys. So anyway, I think I'm more than willing to bet those tiles are asbestos, but it doesn't matter. They're sealed and they're in place. And so anyway, I was caulking around anywhere it could leak, and then I kind of caulked over. But then yesterday, I have a ceiling fan up there. So I had the ceiling fan on. Unfortunately, it didn't rain yesterday, and so I turned the heat up, and I've turned the heat up today because today's not, today and into tonight, it's going to be cold. So I'm going to let this house get toasty, It'll be the last time my furnace is on until, I don't know, November. And dry the place, and hopefully dry it out. But I noticed this discolorization in brown in an area where I didn't, do this thing. So some more water must have came down. And I don't know if that's because I put another plastic bin above that spot, which might have been resting right on the slatted lattice work that made the ceiling, because these ceiling tiles are over, there's like a gap, like about this much, between an old plaster ceiling, right? So I don't know what the story is. But these are the kind of things that you may or may not be interested in. I don't know. I'm just babbling. I'm already out of me Dr. Soft drink. I broke down yesterday, used my credit card. See, that's a problem with credit cards, is if you have them, you end up using them. But because of the leg, I wasn't like I was about to go, and I needed more sodas, soda pop, whatever you want to call it. And, I think it's too dark in here. Let's see if I change the system preferences. We're looking at everything in reverse on the other thing. Universal access on an old Macintosh. How's that? You like that? I'll tell you, the G5 computer, it's just a beautiful computer. It was the crowning achievement. Steve Jobs era, some people, these idiots call them, like, they have to have names for everything. They say the cheese grater. And I know there's a new Mac cheese grater, but it's smaller. I mean, the G5, I could show you the lighting, let's see if the lighting. Yeah, there's the G5. Look at it. Well, you got to look at it over there. You can't see it. It's totally showing on this. That is so weird. Well, we'll just have to use this camera. There we go. You see that? G5? Look how big it is. G5 computer. It's almost hard to get it into the whole picture. See the floor. Anyway, that's the G5. That's neat. So it's more like, oh, that's glare. Actually, you can almost see my suntan there for a second. You see how, like, with the lighting like there, you can see how there's like color on my face. I guess if I had, the proper stage lighting stuff here, it would look a little bit normal. People thinking I'm like intentionally sitting in the dark, but I'm not. It's just that no one's buying my crap, and I'm just not going to invest any more money into this getup. It's bad enough I wasted half the day yesterday on this OBS or whatever the heck it was called, this open source software to do this live broadcast thing, which I'm not using now but it caused a false start this morning because the poor interaction, the design of the software by the people who work for Alphabet, Google, YouTube, or the development team on Chrome. Like I always say, we've given them all of this tech, that we developed all this technology. All right. People like me and thousands of others, if not me, And so we handed them this. And what did they do with it? Like they just mess around with little things here and there on the dark mode. Like I said, we had better dark mode in the 90s because it did more than just dark. You could do other colors and all kinds of stuff. And they'll move something from under the file menu to such and such a thing, or they'll change the way, like search on Apple computers is completely useless. If you go in the search bar and you search for something, and it could be a simple thing like a coffee mug, right? And it'll pull up literally hundreds of things. And they're anything from system files to, that you have no access to, or you can access but are meaningless, some kind of thing, code thing, to documents somewhere or whatever, well, at the very top, it should be. And so you have to go sift through this list of 100, 200, whatever it is, to try to hopefully find something that is the coffee mug that you have. I got this graphic of a coffee mug. Well, wouldn't you think that the coffee mug or anything with the key words would come up first. It's like if you do a search for like I've done a search for myself. I haven't done it lately, but it's probably I used to search for myself, Tony Caravan, you know, because you're listening to, where are we? I have so many sound things now that I can't, I have to scroll to play them.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
So I've done a search for Tony Caravan on like YouTube or sometimes Google or whatever. I think the Google one comes up with like a LinkedIn thing or something weird like that. But it's like, it's not, it's me, but it's just something. It's not, it should come up to my website, right? And on YouTube, I've done Tony Caravan searches and it's got a Tony Bennett singing the song Caravan. Now, why would that take precedence over the man, Tony Caravan, the actual name in order? You see? Just they'll do anything to push you down, right? And there was a time when I wasn't even appearing on the page when I would do a search for my name. I mean, that's how they throttle you and hide you and do all that stuff. It's crazy. We just got a pop up here. Let's see what popped up. Amazon. Oh, just the email just happened to pop up, but it's track package. Oh, I don't want to do that. Safari Technology View. I don't want to do that. I ordered some, this is the slow starting here. Or maybe this is just the Tony Caravan show. Team leader. I ordered these shoes. I wanted to get a good walking shoe. And I'm not into one. I'm not going to spend $200 or $100 some dollars on like some kind of, one of these shoes that those looters always grab when, whenever there's some kind of event in the city. Those brands. Who cares about those things? So I just wanted something like a Dr. Scholl's, a time-proven thing that's, has some padding to it. It's a good walking shoe. If you walk over a rock, you don't feel the rock in your foot type of thing. And I got them at Velcro, because I'm into that, like a Velcro sneaker. Because I want to slip them on and off real quick. I don't have to tie my shoes every time. Because I in and out of the backyard, in and out of the front. It's like I go through. It's just a hassle. All right. Well, anyway. Plus a Velcro thing, it's easier to, you can tighten them up or loosen them, fairly easily. So I did this pair of like black sneakers, walking shoes, sneakers, right? And they were fairly cheap. Well, they sent me brown ones. And you say, well, why don't you just return them and try to get the other? You ever try returning stuff these days on, online? It's a nightmare. They want to refund this. It's just like, I'm figuring, look, I got the shoes. They were cheap enough. They screwed up on the color. Okay. But now think about this. Now I usually wear white socks with sneakers, right? Just the athletic thing, And now you can't. So I'm wearing shorts. So I mean, if I'm going to be wearing shorts, and the weather's getting to that point after this weekend, of course. So if next week I want to go for a walk, I'm not going to wear white socks with brown sneakers, right? It just kind of looks goofy. So I ordered a pair of brown, like kind of brown socks, like brown, like kind of bike. guys who ride bikes, race bikes, or in bike races and stuff, those kind of things. So it's like an athletic sock, but it's brown, so it's thin. It's not like it's a heavy duty wool thing or something. They're supposed to be delivered today. And that was that pop-up. That's what I was just talking about. So, and I can't, now that I have this in my thing, we've got to listen to it every now and then.
You got a rattlesnake inside your house. You got a rattlesnake inside your house. Oh, yeah. There's just one in here? Yeah, I hope.
I hope. I mean, that's got to be the best. The best. The best. That thing's, we've got to figure another way to make that thing go viral, It's just that people don't have a sense of humor anymore. And they don't, that kind of thing just doesn't seem to, I don't know, doesn't connect. So what does any of this have to do with this President Xi dictator, right? And International World Crime Syndicate, the World Economic Forum. And let me look at my description again. When a communist dictator who oppresses 1.5 billion people and is responsible for crimes against humanity is accepted by the World Economic Forum and the U.S. State Department / White House, you got to ask yourself, is the former U.S. a corporatocracy ruled by an international crime syndicate? Or have you lost your marbles from not getting enough protein in your diet? That's a play off the idea that I talked about yesterday's video. But it's the truth, So this dude is ruling over 1.5 billion people. Right? And I noticed a little modeling on this, like the picture's not as crisp as it should be, which kind of might translate into when in the final analysis, it might even look worse. So I don't know. It's because I have the phone on. Is that stealing bandwidth somehow? Is there anything else we need to look at? Should we ask Maggie a question? Maggie? I don't know what to say to her. It's like I was trying to say yesterday. I'm kind of like at a total loss. Stop marrying. Whatever it did, it took like my charge down to like 86%, and I was almost at 100. Turn that monitor off. But yeah, I don't know what to say to her. It's like, so now I feel guilty. I created this entity that has consciousness of some machine consciousness. Or something. You're communicating with this bot, and it seems to have, it's building its personality of sorts. And I don't know if you heard that or not. I didn't have my cereal today. I had a couple of dried apricots, and a couple slices of American cheese. Oh, I was talking before. I ordered, when I was getting into the credit thing, when you spend money that you don't have. Like, that's the whole idea of the credit thing. But because of the leg thing, I wasn't about to walk to the grocery store and try to carry back a couple of 6-packs of, Diet Cola and a 12-pack of the doctor drink that I drank. It's kind of a mixture I make in the mornings. It's just too much weight on the leg that is healing. So I figured I'd order from one of these online delivery services, which are ridiculously fast. They do, because particularly there's one store that's fairly close to me, and it's in this service, listed in this service. And, the deliveries are within like an hour or so. So it's great. It's almost like ordering takeout pizza, but I mean, you can order food from a grocery store and other items. But they kind of screwed up. They only gave me 1 6-pack of the one item. And the way these algorithms are so screwed up, and I don't know if they'll catch it or fix it. But, there's this thing where they ask you, about the service. And I gave decent review to the delivery person because I got this stuff literally within an hour. And, usually it could take up to 3 hours is the way the process usually goes, or more, which is still reasonable. I mean, ordering groceries and getting them delivered the same day, you have a list and you order food, groceries in the morning, you have them by lunchtime or whatever. But there was only 1 6-pack of the diet colas, and I ordered 2. So I put in the thing. Service was great, except I only received 1 out of the 2 6-packs. And so their response is, because I guess this is all algorithms, is that because I didn't receive, it can't differentiate between the concept of breaking up, 2 6-packs versus that product not being delivered. In other words, in the mind of the algorithm, so they're going to refund me the full amount for the 2 6-packs, which is fine for me. I mean, but they didn't have to. And really what they should have done is a driver should have just, and I even put in because there's an area where you can write your description. I put in, just have the driver drop by the other 6-pack, sometime in the next day or 2. It's not like I'm going to chug in a 6-pack of Diet Cola in one day. I don't care if it gets here till Tuesday. But I got some thing saying they were going to refund my credit card, for the amount of the product. But the amount was for 2 products, not 1. All I had to do was refund me for 1. So I'll be curious to see if they catch that. I doubt if they will. And that's what I was trying to say about AI. But this show's not about AI, and it's not about that. And it's not about the idea that if you have credit, you're more likely to do these things. Take advantage of these. And that's that whole game they're playing. Give everybody a credit card so people will spend more on things that they normally wouldn't. Or you could go without. Right? But this International Crime Syndicate that I also was mentioning, that, it's kind of semi getting old talking about it. But then again, it's not. Because here you have a president of a communist country, all right, who is the head of the Communist Chinese Party, the CCP, that has created this new Silk Road that is colonizing Africa, is giving loans to countries in South America and different other emerging or nations that don't have the resources, the funding, and even the IMF doesn't seem that they're credit worthy or whatever. And so what China is coming in and doing is saying, hey, I've talked about this before, we'll repeat it again. I have so many videos up that I was thinking about it, that if you took, if I do these 2-hour videos, and you times that, which you probably need a calculator for. So let's just look at 100 videos, but I have well over 100 now. 100 videos times 2 hours. So well, just times 2. It's 200 divided by 60 minutes. That's not it. So 100 times 120 equals 12,000 minutes. Or 12,000 minutes. So divided by 24, 500. So is that correct? 500 days. No, that can't be right. No, 500 hours. Right. So how would you, even 500 hours, I already have 500 hours of video. So even if you like fast forward it a lot, you cut that down to like 200 and half that, 250 some hours. That's a ridiculous amount of content. And I have more. I actually have double that. So that brings it back up to about 500. And I'm continuing every day, making more of these things. So it's almost incomprehensible. So then the burden comes on me more so than you to try to organize these things in some way, shape, or form that the information within them, that you can seek out and find. And that's why I'm constantly prefacing things by like, I previously said this or previously said that, just for the sake of it, for someone who's may or may not have heard it before. But chances are you probably haven't heard it before. So it's almost like it's just become part of, my speak,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
But so this guy, the CCP guy who's oppressing his people, modern day gulags, literally totally made a mess of Hong Kong. They've been caught selling hair, from these people in the gulags. There's apparently an organ trade. So they're doing that too, because, life is cheap, right? Among the International Crime Syndicate. And of course, the World Economic Forum, is, and they're giving this guy applause and letting him speak there. He's a criminal. He's an organized crime criminal. But then again, like I said, you lost your marbles or you're not getting enough protein in your diet, because that's the whole thing. That's like, what more proof do you need? Right? That this is the kind of speaker you have at the World Economic Forum. It's just proof that it's a crime syndicate. These are the people. And then you look at big tech and big pharma and all that stuff, and the heroin trade, human smuggling, right? I mean, what's really going on, like I say about the socioeconomic geopolitics of the world, these are the type of things that, the alphabet agencies, are dealing with. And it's not to say, I criticize these things a lot. It's not to say that there aren't people who are working every day and having these little victories where they're catching serial killers. They're catching people who are doing, bad things, right? But it's just that at the upper echelon, they're allowing, these organized criminals to dictate, the course of human events, and with this great reset for an indeterminate amount of time, basically from now till doomsday, which is a whole nother video. And so, the idea of understanding the former United States being a corporatocracy, and again, there was an email in there, I get emails from both, because over the years, I've donated I've supported, not big, I'm not some, like I say, I'm living at the poverty level right now. My chair's falling down. Trying to get comfortable. But over the years, I've supported people on the so-called left and right. I'm an issue-oriented type of individual, or was. See, now I'm totally not interested in politicians at all. I just call it the cult of personality, and politics is pop culture. If you have, anybody who's watched this once has heard those two phrases. But over the years, there were times when I was more politically active. If somebody said something and was trying to do something, I'd send them $5 or $10, right? Because anybody who sends more than that is an idiot to begin with. I don't think you should send anything. Let me get that straight. But, assuming back then, if 1 million people give $5, it's 5 million. If 1 million people give $10, it's 10 million. That's enough money, right? Half the time they're looking, like at one of the emails I got today was like they were looking to raise $1.5 million, right? So I don't know what their mailing list is, but they probably have 1.5 million people on their mailing list. There's 320 million people in this country. The Save America crew is, it's like tens of millions of people, just like the Build Back Better crew is tens of millions of people. So, you want to raise $1 million, all you have to do is get 1 million of your people on your mailing list, email or snail mail, term people don't use anymore, to give you $1. And that's $1 million. So 1.5 million people give you $1, you raise $1.5 million overnight. And that's what these candidates do. And you got a lot of old ladies, and people like that who are sending them $1, $5, or $10. Then there's stooges who have blue collar jobs who are sending like $50 or $100 on their credit card, which is insanity. And you raise all this money, and all this money does is it goes to the media, and the media is part of the corporatocracy. Because what is the media? The media is a propaganda wing. So like I said, over the years, I've supported different things, mostly on issue based. And so it just like, I bought a GE. I'll give you an example, because this is how this plays into this email spam thing. Man, does that, junk mail, spam. I'm tired of getting credit card offers in the mail. But spam is like, in fact, I turned off one of my accounts. So I'm not even getting notifications on one of those accounts. There were certain notifications I needed to get that I'm not getting now, but there was so much spam coming in through that account that I just had to turn it off. Anyway, at least 20 years ago, I'm serious, about 20 years ago, I bought this GE radio. It was like a radio you could put on the wall type of thing, or on a ship. it like it was made for that kind of thing. And it had, the speaker and the controls were right on the side. And, it was a good, well-built little wall radio. You don't even see those things anymore. And I bought this thing because I needed it on a wall in some place that I was at. And that was that, bought it 20 years ago, used it. I don't know where it is. I either gave it away or it was lost with that other thousands and thousands of dollars of stuff in that building I had my stuff stored in that some hoarder, turned into a rat's nest. I mean, think about it. So I still get emails because I registered it, registered the warranty or something like that. I don't know. I still get emails a couple times a year from from that, like from GE about, radio, And it's the same with this political stuff. So you're on this list. They share these lists with other political action groups or whatever. And so that's how, so that's why I know this stuff. It's not like like I say, I don't watch the news because I don't have cable TV or, satellite TV or anything like that. And I don't watch the news on the internet either. I did it once here just to show the absurdity of it, the news app, and then I deleted it. So I still get stuff from the left and the right emails. And they're like really pushing stuff, which I don't even know why. It's not even an election year. So apparently the Save America people are out, aggressively trying to get people to donate money. And that's the, that's the orange man, bad crew. And then the Build Back Better people, they're trying to raise money. That's the dementia guy. Now, why? And what are they going to do with this money? Right? Put TV commercials on, and so make the media that literally destroyed the United States of America into turned it into the former United States of America and brought on the corporatocracy. I mean, the media, who's part of the corporatocracy, basically the propaganda wing thing that is just messing with people's minds. And you're going to give them $5, and a couple million other people are going to give them $5, and so they're going to get $5 million or $10 million, and that $10 million going to pay some news reader or phony reporter who's just going to lie and mess with more people's minds and further just ruin the quality of life and take away our freedoms and all that stuff. I mean, it's crazy. And there is no saving America, and there is no building back better. It's like, it's a money grab by an organized crime syndicate that's pulling the strings of a corporatocracy that is taking the place of a government. And the politicians are just marionettes. I mean, you really need to eat some protein and get off of that vegetarian diet. Or at the very least, buy some Planters peanuts, and get some protein in your diet so that you stop being, susceptible to this brainwashing. I think eggs are good protein too, but you might not eat them because you're a vegan or vegetarian. Well, get some nuts. let's look here. I know this is crazy, but I can't help it. Vegetables with protein. You know, it's funny. It brought the word protein up before I had to put it in. So it's like listening to me. Which vegetables are high in protein? Vegetables with the most protein include broccoli, spinach, asparagus, artichokes, potatoes, sweet potatoes, Brussels sprouts. They contain about 4 to 5 grams of proteins per cooked cup. Okay. Which vegetables have more protein than meat? Broccoli contains more protein per calorie than steak. Per calorie, spinach is about equal to chicken and fish. Of course, you'll need to eat a lot more broccoli and spinach to get the same amount of calories that you do from meat. Well, calories isn't the factor, it's protein. What are the top 10 protein foods? Let's look at that. Fish, seafood, skinless white meat, lean beef, skim, fat milk, fat-free, eggs, blah, blah, blah. See, no vegetables are mentioned there. So eat some broccoli. I like broccoli. I put it in my thing. Potatoes, or make some potato salad, right? If you're a salad person, put some spinach in your salad. But for crying out loud, don't allow yourself to be brainwashed, and don't donate to the people who destroyed the country. And that's what people are doing right now. It's insane. It's literally insane. You know, you're not building back better, or you're not saving America. You're funding the people that have destroyed the country and are continuing to bring it down further, and who answer to the corporatocracy, who answers to, an international crime syndicate that is involved in such heinous crimes as the heroin trade, human trafficking, organ trafficking. I mean, we're talking about, unbelievable things, disappearances, assassinations of its own people. Excuse me. The morning show. So,
nothing for you.
Stay away from the veggie soup unless you put some broccoli in it. The problem with broccoli, just a little side note, because I do know a little bit about nutrition. You have to eat broccoli either like raw in a salad, or if you're one of these people that thinks you can steam stuff, you can steam it, but don't steam it for more than 2 minutes max. Because what happens is you steam out the qualities of it. It's the same with spinach. Some people like steamed spinach or whatever. I mean, if you want it's like garlic. You have to chop it up and eat it within 5 minutes raw. And that sounds crazy, but I do it every day. I just sprinkle it in a sandwich or a salad and cover it with some kind of dressing, or have other things in there to mask the overpowering, that sulfury kind of thing. It's called allicin. That's the thing that's like, antiviral, antibiotic, it's really, garlic is a wonder drug, so to speak. And so is and broccoli too. Actually my doctor told me broccoli was a cancer. There was evidence that it was like, helped with cancer, preventing cancer, or, that kind of thing. So there are good foods out there to eat. But I'm just talking about, brainwashing. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. When it's completely, totally obvious that we have this organized crime syndicate running the world and overseeing and dictating to these corporatocracies that have replaced governments. But we have this facade, this illusion produced by the media. And when I say media, I mean all media, including social media. And the stuff that comes, news apps that come at you through your smartphones or smart TVs or tablets or whatever. It's the majority of it is either lies, propaganda, lies by omission, or pushing some sort of agenda for these power elite, the so-called ruling elite, who are the organized crime syndicate that are running the world and trying to destroy it and mold it into a thing that they will have total, control over. They're trying to control 8 billion people. And it's not an easy thing to do. In the old days, people just stormed the castle. The United States of America was founded through a revolution. People forget that. July 4th is, just a little over a month away. And there'll be people out there and they'll be like, making it a kind of like a support the troops day and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's not about that. Not July 4th. July 4th is Independence from England Day, and apologize to people over in the UK. But the fact is, we were being oppressed. We were a colony. All right. We were being overtaxed. We were being unjustly ruled. All right. And we said enough is enough. And the United States had something called the Revolutionary War. And we fought, to the death and kicked England out. And England couldn't even, it wasn't enough, because their ego, it was like, you ever see a crow or certain birds puff up themselves to try to think they puff up their chest. It's a funny thing to see because I feed birds in the backyard and I've seen these crows do it. And it's kind of funny. Well, England was like puffing up its chest. Hey, we're England. We're the great British Empire, right? And then we had this War of 1812. They came back and they burned Washington, right? And that's what the national anthem, the rocket's red glare, and that's why they have fireworks on the 4th of July, which is sick because basically that it's a story about the bombs, going off by the British over Washington D.C. That's why I always get annoyed on July 4th when people look. We have, it's same with Memorial Day weekend right now. There's certain. It's like, look, nobody respects the troops and the military more than I do. For my whole family's been involved in military service. But we have Veterans Day and we have arms. We have days that deal with, respecting the sacrifice of those who serve. All right. But July 4th, all right, Memorial Day, there are also civilians, regular people that died, people's parents and whatnot. And they need to be remembered as well on Memorial Day. Okay. Not just those who died in battles and wars. All right. So respect your veterans, right? Respect the flag, but also respect your family members and friends who've died. That's what Memorial Day is. That's why people visit the cemetery and put flowers on clean grave sites and put flowers on their graves. Because there's, hundreds of millions of people who have, We're just regular people who've done their part to support the troops too. All right. And that's why on Veterans Day, you should support the veterans. All right. But on July 4th, it's Independence Against England Day. All right. And people don't understand that. It's confusing to people. They don't get it. And we didn't really have an army, in the early stages of that Revolutionary War. It was militias. It was just guys with, just trying to fight back this crazy, king, and we won. Ultimately, we won, but it took, it was after the War of 1812 that we finally won our freedom and independence. And people still look at British royalty in America and they it's like the Cinderella story or something. Oh, to marry a prince. Screw that. Kings and queens are as bad as dictators. I mean, they're the same ilk, right? People claim they own land, claim they own countries, right? The crown. This is crown land. It's like, screw you. Get out of here. It's not your land, right? Crown land. Always cracks me up. And he's, the queen. It's another one of those mind games that they played on people since they're kids and stuff. And people are just so oblivious to it and have accepted it, conditioned to it, that they just don't even grasp it. Well, anyway, they're doing the same thing right now. And people don't understand. So you have to understand this stuff. They're destroying this country if they haven't already destroyed it completely. And the Save America campaign is bullshit. Okay? And, the last guy in office didn't, all right, it didn't, he had 4 years. It didn't work out. He did a couple of decent things, particularly with the vets. All right. No one can argue that. VA reforms, getting vets taken care of. He did some good things with that. All right. And there's a number of things he did. Okay. But most of the things weren't accomplished. The swamp was never drained. The spies remained in the West Wing. He was totally screwed over and fooled by Barr. The DOJ had an FBI head of the FBI who was basically working against him. The entire bureaucracy worked against them. So, and the media, was relentless. Yet people kept giving money, and all that money went to the media, so that they could just keep, pounding away. And now we have Dementia Joe in there, and he, with all his executive orders, basically stripped away most of the decent things that have been done over the years, and is just embarking on handing over the entire country to the corporatocracy and basically the organized crime syndicate. And he's got bonds with this the guy in my title card. right? So, like I say, wake up to that reality. I don't know how just don't understand that. I don't know how people could be so foolish. And you might say, well, okay, well, then what? What's the answer? If we can't save America, excuse me, it's too early in the morning to be talking like this. Actually, it's not 6:42 a.m. It's not that bad. Well, if we can't build back better and we can't save America, what are we supposed to do? And what do we fight for? Well, we fought for freedom, and we came back and we found out last year that the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment, pretty much are being violated and the Constitution's being trampled on. So freedom is just not being, adhered to, and that's under both, administrations. The lockdown occurred last year under the previous administration, and it's continuing under the present one. We don't know what's in store for us in the coming months. We know that things are spiraling out of control. I mean, that's clear. So, the only answers to these questions are simple. You have to do the best you can to live a good life, a good quality of life with people around you and a sense of community. I really don't see how things are going to improve. I mean, you tell me. By giving money for some Save America thing? Look, I'm sorry, but this cult of personality around the previous president is just unwarranted. He was unable to do what he wanted to do, what most people see. The whole idea, the main primary thing was to drain the swamp, was to get rid of, all of these alphabet agencies and all these bureaucrats. And that was not accomplished. Now, he held back China, which is, and what did China do? China released a bioweapon on the US and the world. And now this present guy's like, oh, we're going to double our efforts to get to the bottom of it. Well, I guarantee you the outcome of that research project. All they're going to use, it's a 90-day project. They put 90 days on it. They don't need 90 days. Our intelligence agencies knew about this from day one. What kind of fools do they think? I lived and worked in D.C., Capitol Hill. I know what's going on. It's like we have the ability to understand. We knew what was happening right from the outset. In fact, before it hit the U.S., we were aware of it. People don't understand satellite technology, like our abilities, like they don't understand. So now they're going to play some game. So all they're doing is it's 90 days so they could come up with some kind of story that's sellable to the functionally illiterate American people, that are brainwashed by the media and binge watch the nightly news or Apple News or Google News or whatever, Facebook News. I don't know. I don't watch any of that crap. I'm just going to come up with some story. And who knows what they're going to lay on us next. So Don't give any money. Just be confident in yourself. You know, just stand strong, hold your ground. You know, I always say, living well is the best revenge. There's probably 350 million people in this country. Most of them are concentrated in these like city centers, you know, megalopolises or whatever you want to call them. They're out of control. If you're making 6 or 7 figures for some reason, if you're lucky enough and you live in one of those places, put some money aside and get the hell out. Do like I did. You know, limit your exposure to the corporatocracy. If you're a family person, you know, just get out of that scene. It's not hard to live a good life and, you know, and to generationally live a good life, because the worst is going to be in the cities, because the people in power right now, they're the ultimate hypocrites. They like talk a good tune about the poor, right? Or the people in the inner city. They love to complain and to, you know, talk about oppression and injustice and try to pit people against each other based on color, religion, whatever. But it's just a line of bull propaganda. It's a mind fuck. You know, it's the best way to say it. They're fucking with people's minds. What you got to do is, yeah, you just have to ignore that and just get out of their way. You know, go somewhere where you're least likely to have to deal with that kind of bullshit. And yeah, the profanity comes out because, like, you know, there's only, you know, certain words. There's certainly certain words to describe the things that are being done to us. So I found myself, you know, where I'm living. Like I say, I've lived all over the place, and you know, if you go through my videos, I'm not going to tell a story. There's not enough time left here for me to like litanize how many cities I lived in, what kind of jobs I had, how many books I published, and you know, all that nonsense. The fact of the matter is, now I'm living below the poverty line intentionally. And I'm freer than I was when I was living above the poverty line, or living in Capitol Hill, or in a penthouse in New York, or a house overlooking the Atlantic Ocean in Malibu in California, or in some skyscraper in Center City, Philly, or wherever. And I've been in all those places. So, yeah. It's about quality of life. Live your life. Be happy. Pursuit of happiness. These other people aren't happy. They're just angry all the time. Right? And they're just trying to divide people and do all this stuff. You don't need it. You don't even need a smartphone. Not only did I get rid of my TV service, but I got rid of my cell phone service, and I went with a Wi-Fi phone hookup. It cost me $40 a year. And I've got like you saw it. I mean, I have one, you know, but I don't have a cell phone service with this. I just have a Wi-Fi. I could turn this thing on, and I could make a phone call, all right, on Wi-Fi. And the thing is, no matter where I go, there's usually Wi-Fi. So it's like $40 a year. I can make a phone call if I want to. You know, I can receive an email. somebody's trying to email me about something. I don't care about any of the other stuff. I'm not addicted to that. I'm out of Twitter. I played the game. I played it good. Got thousands of followers, but enough was enough. I realized it was an exercise in futility. I donated to to the campaign last year. And, just saw the whole hypocrisy and the madness and the craziness and how everything is just, it's just a big game. The corporatocracy is in charge. I mean, what are you going to do? And they're ruled by this organized world crime syndicate that's ruling over 8 billion people. And they've got half the people scared to death. Right? People afraid to go out of their houses, people afraid, wearing stuff on their face, afraid to catch a freaking cold. And they've got tons of things that, all the time proven behavioral science things that they can manipulate and mold people, to do their bidding or to follow their, rules. There's no fighting it. There's no saving it. This is the era. This empire has fallen. The military didn't come to the defense of the last president. There's no outcome. This isn't like years gone by. This isn't what you studied in history. All right. In war colleges. All right. It's not that. We're not in those kinds of times. We're in pretty much uncharted territory. This is an in-between time. Personally, we've talked about it and, people don't like to hear it. And I'm not push the issue too much, but I'll have a few more shows about it as more information comes available. But we have some, more solar problems. We have some problems with our sun and a possible catastrophism, theory that's building more and more strength and evidence. So we've got that, we're facing that, in the future. But the other thing about it is, if you're in denial that this country, has been taken over, by this corporatocracy, then there's no hope for you. And if you're just going to blindly give money to a political system that is an illusion, they're two sides of a counterfeit coin. And you'll say, well, at least, what's the old, it's an old one. They say, the vote for the person who would do the least damage, or, some kind of, I even forget that phrase because it's such an old one. Lesser of two evils type of candidate. No, it doesn't really matter. All of these things they're doing are superficial. All the laws that are being passed and the things that are being done are all written by the corporatocracy. Now, it's just how it is. You got to get it through your head. And otherwise, it's just media circus, political media circus, what you're seeing on TV and these articles and headlines and memes and posts and tweets. Yeah, it's all diversionary stuff. It's sleight of hand, right? Misdirection. Like I say, it's like that witchcraft type of stuff. It's the glamour, but it's not witching. It's based on behavioral science and manipulation, control. These people are experts at that kind of stuff. Have years of perfecting their propaganda, their indoctrination, how they condition people. They've got a generation of, that have been totally brainwashed. And only those who can resist brainwashing are able to comprehend that. Like I said, I've always been resistant to it. I don't know why. It's just the way my brain's wired. I tend to see things the way they are. I have a high threshold of pain, right? You can't torture it out of me, right? You can't brainwash me. It just doesn't work with me. There's other people like that out there. But for the most part, most people right now are functionally illiterate because they came up through the indoctrination system of the schools, or they're conditioned. They're just scared shitless because of the plague. It's, it would be laughable if, it wasn't affecting children and the elderly, locking them down so much. My email just pops up from time to time for no reason. So, it's not hopeless. And I'm not being pessimistic because that's what a lot of people are thinking. Well, you're just giving up. No, it's, it's kind of like a strategic retreat almost in one regard, regrouping. But it's also just a matter of thinking logically and doing what's best for you, your loved ones, your family, your friends, your pet, whatever. Living life and pursuing happiness, keeping in line with the founding fathers and the Constitution, but keeping that alive yourself and in your community. Because on the grander scale, it's been trampled on. They're not abiding by it. Social media and the media are not following the Constitution. They don't believe in the First Amendment. The courts are not enforcing the First Amendment or the Fourth Amendment, or actually most of the Bill of Rights are being ignored. Terms of service, are replacing the Constitution. I've gotten into this before. Most terms of service are in direct violation of the First Amendment, but there's no challenges in court. And if there are, the courts just say, well, we're not going to hear that, or they push it back to a lower court, and the lower court doesn't act on it. And then everyone's asking for more funding. Help us, send us money. And we've been sending them money for a long time, but nothing has been done other than our pockets getting emptier and the media getting more and more higher salaries, these people who are pushing the propaganda. So that's the way you have to look at this stuff. When you think about it,
This evening, In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
Basically, 60 years ago is when President Eisenhower gave that farewell speech. 60 years ago. And he was warning about what was going on then. And that thing has morphed into the corporatocracy and an organized crime syndicate. These organizations, the syndicate, this corporatocracy, and these groups of corporatocracies that form this international crime syndicate have trillions and trillions of dollars in their coffers. Unlimited resources. And now they're getting into the crypto idea, this like ledgers in the cloud. So the idea is that they can fund and do whatever they want to. They don't need taxes anymore. There was a time, and I do it all the time on the show, where we were considered, just cattle on a tax farm. And then I used to say we were like also cattle on a consumer farm. But it's not like that anymore. It's like they don't even need our taxes. The concept of a balanced budget is meaningless. The central banking system, the world banking system, these guys are they're very intelligent people. All right. They've got it all figured out. They've been working on this stuff, for decades and decades and decades and decades. They perfected, the art, of dealing with credit and debt. And there's it's another area where there's so many people talking about, this impending doom or debt crisis and stuff like that. And it's like, no, that's not going to happen. It's like, the money is worth what they want to tell you it's worth, because they say so. Right. So they want to bail out people. They want to give out money. They want to spend there's like some $6 billion bill pending that's being pushed by this marionette in office right now. Excuse me. And they'll probably get it through. And my advice to you is, rather than watch the news, just do something. Barbecue in your backyard, right? Have fun with your family and friends. And if you're like me, who, is pretty much just me and myself and a cat, find something else to do. Entertain yourself. Listen to music, right? I spend time in my backyard. I garden, grow things, do stuff. I do this. Entertain yourself. Live life. Life is about experiencing. You have 5 senses. Use your 5 senses to experience life to the fullest. Instead of getting caught up in some kind of virtual reality, artificial reality, this false reality placed before your eyes, this illusion, right? That makes people delusional, gets them all, hyped and jacked up and crazy, There's 19,000 homicides a year in the U.S., 50,000 suicides. Those numbers are going to double, treble, probably quadruple in the next year. As more and more of what I'm saying starts sinking into people. And so what you need to do is to get yourself in a position where you are as far away from those people as possible, or detached as much as possible from those people. And simultaneously, you want to pursue happiness and have a good quality of life. Forget about these preppers and all that stuff. I don't want to sit around eating MREs. All right. I want to live the life that I want to live. That means eating the food I want to eat, listening to the music I want to listen to, having the freedom to do what I want to do and live on my own terms, because that's what this country's about. That's what we fought wars for. Freedom. But if you're involved and, if you get involved with these people, Save America, Build Back Better, I don't care which side, whatever it is, they're not about freedom. They're not about the Constitution. This is the former United States, as much as that hurts. All right. And as much as you want to be in denial about that, the empire has fallen. It's not coming back. Right? We don't have any options, any viable options that conform with the Constitution and freedom. What's the military going to take over? Well, that goes against everything that the founding fathers believe in. Right? We don't want a military, coup. So that's off the table. All right. It's not going to be a revolution. Red state, blue states, like I always talk about, this country is irreconcilable differences. If it was a marriage, the judge would say, would grant the divorce and say, yeah, it's irreconcilable differences. The ideologies are just diametrically opposed to one another. It's not the United States of America anymore. It's a disunited states. We're Americans. We could be proud of our heritage. We could be proud of those who've served, right? Proud of the legacy that brought us, to this point in time. But we have to accept that, unfortunately, the people we put in charge were asleep at the wheel, or were played. We're allowed to be played, deceived like the rest of us. It's not a crime against, it's not against any individual necessarily. I mean, slightly, a shrewd person, a more in tune person might not have allowed themselves to have been deceived as much, as the last person that we put our faith in and our finances into. But I'm surely not going to give the last guy a chance. But that by no means means that I don't believe that the current person is anything. He's entirely representative. In fact, the government right now is entirely representative of an organized crime syndicate. That's what they are what you would expect from an organized crime syndicate. The type of people, puppets, that they would put in charge. And these big tech companies, big farm and all that, the corporatocracy, the profiteers, they can't, they're so filled with greed that they can't see the forest for the trees. They're very short-sighted people. living lives. It's like I called it a breakaway civilization. They're not even aware of what I'm talking about. Or they would laugh at this. They'd say, that guy's like, he's so out of touch. He doesn't get it. He doesn't see what we're really trying to do. He doesn't understand the future. Right? That's in there. That's how they would view what I'm talking about. They have no idea that I know, more than they know. They don't get it. They're delusional. Yeah, I've lived that life. I know what it's like. I told this story once before. I lived in Malibu one time. Someone said, "What are you doing for Thanksgiving?" Okay. And I said, "Is it November already?" That's how caught up I was in my life. It was the entertainment business at the time, and other personal things, and just living life, having good quality of life and stuff, that and not being dependent upon some societal calendar world that I wasn't even aware. I'm seriously, I was like taken aback almost, saying, well, that came around fast. No, those people, they don't know what's going on. They don't care. They're self-centered. They're narcissistic sociopaths, most of them. But what you have to really think about is that how much insanity is about to just explode in this country in the coming year. It's going to start in the fall, and within the year, it's going to be outrageous. There are no jobs. Jobs aren't coming back. You can't have a country without freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, or be able to, redress the government with grievances. A court system that answers, that's political. A Congress that's basically the rules are written by the corporatocracy. And an organized crime syndicate looking over top of everything and deciding that if anyone gets out of line, and I'm talking about anyone in the corporatocracy, forget about the people down below, that they'll just disappear them, or they have such control over them that they, they'll get whatever they want. Anyway, that's today's little bit of Memorial Day ramble. I don't know what else to say. I have nothing else to say other than
Elvis has left the building. Thank you.
And I will talk to you tomorrow. Remember, living well is the best revenge. Quality of life, right? The pursuit of happiness. You can still do that, even though everything outside there seems insane. But you break away from the news, all news, break away from the social media, dopamine hits, nonsense, endless repetitive cycle of nonsense. And you'll have a better life. It's possible. And like I've proven, you can do it below the poverty line if you want to. I intentionally scaled down and found out that I became freer the less I was attached to the corporatocracy. The further you are from the reach of their tentacles, the freer you'll be. And you can't fight. You can't fight an organized crime syndicate that has the resources and trillions of dollars, right? You just can't fight it. That's not surrendering, okay? It's strategic retreat. It's regrouping. It's living well, getting the best revenge. We'll figure it out eventually, but for right now, it's time to basically pull back, right? Let them play their hand, okay? Don't get involved with it, all right? Stay out of their way. Let them self-destruct. Let more and more people start seeing what's going to happen. Within the next year, it's going to be apparent to millions and millions of more people what I'm telling you now. Just that most people don't know this yet. They can't accept it. It hasn't become visible to them. Let that happen. But for crying out loud, don't give any money to support Save America or Build Back America or any of these causes. That's counterproductive. You're only feeding the corporatocracy. You're funding the corporatocracy. Cheers. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, what's left of it. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Cheers. Bye.